Well, good morning, everybody. And I'm continuing the talk on integration that began on Sunday. And back to a little recap from Sunday, I went to the dictionary, and integrate is defined as combining one thing with another so they become a whole. And we're really exploring together, what is that experience of integration? That's the definition. But what's the experience? And this may be cognitive. We might know that it's happening, but often it's not. Um, and though I could have put out the belief that it's more likely to occur when we're somewhat still and somewhat aware. And so what I did was I went through Linda and my book, Reflective Meditation, Cultivating Kindness and Curiosity in the Buddhist Company. And I just searched for that word integrate. It came up many times. So I'll be continuing with some of the reflections on the times it came up in the book. So here's one quote from the book. We do want to acknowledge the many teachers and other people who have informed our hearts, mind, and practice. Their efforts and dedications have blended with and been integrated into our voices. So this happens all the time, doesn't it? We integrate other people's thoughts, knowledge, emotions, all kinds of things, experience into our experience. And it's good to be somewhat aware of this. Sometimes we can't be aware of it, but as much as we can, it's good to be aware of sort of what we're taking up from other people and its impact upon us. Sometimes it's really helpful. As in this quote, we were saying that we're acknowledging the teachers and people who have really helped us, whose efforts and dedication to the Dharma, to these teachings, to meditation, have really integrated into what we're saying, what I'm saying right now. But sometimes it's best to move away from other people when they're influencing us, or when the influence is not good for us. That's quite a point of discernment, when it is we should stay with it and when it is that we should move away from it. And maybe those times we don't really have a choice about like actually moving away, but maybe more not taking it up or not buying it wholesale, as the expression goes. That's a big deal, I think. So moving on to another quote. We want our views to influence you, but we don't want them to dominate your own perspectives. We want them to integrate into what you know from your experience. While we have this intention, we can't make it happen this way. So in this quote, we're suggesting that you be aware that our voices don't overpower your own, which in a way is similar to the quote that I read above, but maybe more sort of a warning that especially people like teachers or people who have power in various ways in our lives, their views can dominate, and we don't want this. And that's maybe a little different from in RM. It's a strong feature of reflective meditation that we don't want teachers to dominate your experience. By the way, that's why we give these short Dharma talks, because when you give a talk that's like an hour or more, those voices are more likely to dominate. But we want you to stay close to what you know. So really what we want you to develop is your own knowing, rather than what a particular tradition mandates or the order and the way you're supposed to learn Dharma. Moving on to the next quote. Feminist principles arise and pass away. They have been integrated into religious traditions and secular movements alike. So this is kind of a little different angle on things. We're addressing how different perspectives and traditions integrate. And So that's just a different angle. But we're talking specifically about feministic principles, which we see as a strong feature also in reflective meditation. And Linda gave a talk on this very topic yesterday. She's on retreat with 3 other female teachers from different traditions. And last night they gave a talk on the feminine principle. I'll be very interested to hear how that went. So different traditions are integrated. You can sort of see this and certainly you can see this overarching thing that happened with Buddhism when it came to the West. It really integrated with Western values, and feministic values have, are part of what part of our Western values. When I was thinking about Linda giving her talk, this was just my own thoughts about it. I was thinking, oh, I thought she was giving, it was the feminine divine. I was a little maybe confused or maybe it shifted, I'm not sure. But when I thought about this thing about the feminine divine, I sort of thought about it like the Brahma Viharas, like, yeah, when those kind of feministic principles of gentleness and collaboration and softness, let's say, even when they're there, when they're really present in us, it actually can feel rather divine. On to the next quote. You can read inspiring books, hear about amazing journals, quote spiritual teachers, but you may not know them from the inside out. It takes practice, and it becomes a practice. It is a practice to listen to your experience and learn how to integrate these principles and teachings. So there's another quote that addresses how much we value listening to your own experience and how much we hope you will learn these teachings from the inside out, not rather than taking what somebody from the outside says and sort of, what's the word, sort of putting it right on top of our experience and trying to turn our experience into that, but really looking at our experience and seeing how the teachings are there within our experience. And that's why it takes time and patience to develop in reflective meditation. I do think it takes longer, though I also believe that what you know, what you learn, how you learn the Dharma is sort of fuller and more sustaining. It doesn't kind of disappear quite as easily, or you don't lose track of it. Maybe you lose track of it cognitively, but I think it's in there somewhere, somehow. So this one is about psychotherapy. We don't approach it like psychotherapy groups do either. We don't delve into the past, diagnose, or prescribe. And here's the important part with the integrated word in it, well, the important part for our conversation today. We know that painful and pleasurable memories come up and trust that they'll be integrated through meditation, journaling, and conversation. We refer our students to psychotherapy when needed. So this quote refers to that process that we believe will integrate experience. In other words, combine one thing with another so that they become whole. There's that definition. And we think this is a healing experience, this integration, albeit of a somewhat different nature than what happens in psychotherapy. Certainly it's a different context, and both are beneficial and sometimes both are needed. However, it really is it's a bit different, integrating it in the stillness and the quiet of our inner world, in that journaling where we kind of get more in touch with what happened in our inner world, and that conversation that we have with some of you some of the time, where again, things get integrated, seen a bit differently, understood a bit differently, and processed some more. Okay, there we are at 10 minutes after the hour. So there's more